Hi everybody, this is Diana aka Pop Culture Diva 42, and this is going to be a discussion video for the movies Kick-Ass, Defendor, Super, and Griff the Invisible. Now all of these are movies about ordinary guys who become superheroes. If you want to, please check out the reviews for those movies. But I think what I have to say and the things that I want to discuss, you don't really need to see the movies or listen to the reviews even if you just want to follow what I'm saying. So like I said in my overview video, I'm really fascinated by this niche that is forming with movies like this. Personally, I see it as a counter reaction to all the huge summer blockbuster type superhero movies that we've seen released in recent years. Budgets for those movies are getting bigger and bigger, and the names attached to the productions have more and more weight and authority behind them. So on the other side, you have these young directors taking their inspiration from this current and playing around with the idea of the superhero, but in such a way that it doesn't require a big budget, doesn't require, big special effects or big action pieces. And what I find fascinating looking at these particular four movies is that you have directors that are coming from the US, Canada, UK, Australia, and they all converge on this idea of superheroes in the real world, but they come from completely different directions. Kick-Ass is, for instance, an action comedy. Defendor, as I see it, is more of a drama. Super is whatever the hell it is. Like, really, in this bunch, it's the most genre-bending movie of them, and I guess you could call it an action comedy, but I think that's really limiting. And Griff the Invisible is a romantic comedy. Now, with the exception of Kick-Ass, which followed the graphic novel, if you take the superhero, like these movies are doing, and place it in a real-world setting, what's going to happen? Well, it's not going to be a summer blockbuster. It's going to be something like a charming indie movie that tries to be a character study and has some funny, actiony elements thrown in there. Something else that I came out of with these movies is the idea that seems to animate each and every one of them, that you can't be a vigilante in real life unless you have some serious mental issues. Like in Defendor, the character is literally, I don't want to say the R word, but you can tell that he's mentally slow. In Super, Crimson Bolt is traumatized by his breakup and then hypnotized by Nathan Fillion on TV. I'm sure we can understand that because Nathan Fillion is wow. But you can see throughout the movie that Crimson Bolt has some anger management issues. And in Griff the Invisible, Griff is playing out his fantasies, and it's kind of left to the audience to decide if he's really deluded or if he's just pretending to be really deluded. And then in Kick-Ass, the main guy, Aaron Stanford's character, is a teenager, so naturally he's not all up there in the head. I get. But that is the general feeling I'm taking from this group of movies. There needs to be something wrong with your head if you want to be a superhero. I mean, if you look at these movies, Hit Girl from Kick-Ass could be the least crazy vigilante in here. But do you think that her dad ruined her life, or is she going to be a functioning adult, issues-free, when she grows up? Because, for instance, looking at the girl Bolty from Super, who is Crimson Bolt's crazy sidekick, played by Ellen Page, I used to say that she's like a version of Hit Girl, all grown up. But I think that does Hit Girl a disservice because she was raised into this life. She was raised to be a little killing machine. whereas Balti is this girl that grew up normal, so to speak, and built up a lot of resentment and frustrations inside her, and then gets a free pass to unleash all her fury on whosoever she chooses, because she gets this idea that she's a superhero, and ergo you can kill people and get away with it. So you see, depending on how wrong you are in the head, that will affect your moral code, because all these characters are extremely motivated, with the exception of Griff, possibly from Griff the Invisible, because he sees it more as a game than anything else. He says he wants to protect the innocent and blah 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 blah, but it's a speech, and they're lines that he thinks are cool to say, but he not really believes them. Griff's self-preservation instinct is pretty strong. He's definitely not as brave as the others. But most of these characters are extremely motivated to do good, but their definitions of good vary greatly. Defender wants to clean up the streets and find the guy who killed his mom, and Crimson Bolt wants to get his girlfriend back and get revenge on all the people who he thinks deserve it. And Kick-Ass just wants to make a stand up against bullies. And most of them will only get a lot of pain for their good intentions. The one thing I think all these movies have in common is that the main character will get an ass whooping at some point in the movie, a big ass whooping. And actually, except for Griff, because while Griff does get his ass beat, Ryan Quanten's face is too pretty to fuck up. And another thing, speaking of the pretty, these are not sexy people. Like, if you take away the superhero's mythical quality, you take away his sex appeal. You take away the idea that he needs to look like a god or have a Greek god's body. And I think if you take that away, you also take away a lot of Hollywood's typical superficiality. And you can focus literally on who this guy is and why he does the things that he does. And just not focus less on how he looks is really not important. So where can we go from here? Can we have other movies that deal with this theme or deal with this storyline of an ordinary person that becomes a superhero? How many more movies like this can we have until it becomes redundant? And I think, with Avengers coming out next year and with a new Superman coming out after that one, I think there's still material here to provide good storytelling, because, I think we could see a movie about a female, a woman that makes this decision to become a vigilante. Or even, I also recommend you watching the HBO documentary on real life superheroes that came out a while ago. In that documentary, there was a team of people that were working together in New York, and out of all the people in the documentary, those seemed to me like the most prepared, the ones that had the best vision and the most cohesive strategy. They seem like the people that can do the business. Okay, they can do their business, protect the streets or whatever, and not get themselves killed. And that's the most important. So I think we could have a movie about a group of people, ordinary people, that get together and try and do something like that and be vigilantes, or be the ordinary Justice League or something like that. So yeah, I think there's still material here to make for some good anti-superhero movies, if you want to call them like that. But like I said, I love these movies for different reasons. But I'm still looking for that one, ordinary person becomes a superhero movie that doesn't focus so much on what is wrong with this person or these people that will make them put themselves in such a dangerous situation and make them put themselves in situations where they are obviously over their head.